QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022 OneNote presentation. Create reports after second month of data input. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. If you have access to OneNote, would like to follow along, icon left-hand side, topic introduction, 8420, create reports after second month of data input tab. Also take a look at the immersive reader tool. Topic introductions in the text area too with the same name, same number, but with transcripts. Transcripts that can be translated into multiple languages and either listened to or read in them. Same name and number as presentations as well. Topic introductions designed to give an introduction to the topic, provide screenshots, links where applicable, give accounting background to complement the presentations, and can be used to follow along with them if you don't have access to the software at that time. Closing the icon on the left-hand side, we're going to be looking at the comparative balance sheet first, thinking about the reports that we could be putting together at the end of the data input for the second month of operations. Imagining we're giving this information to a client or possibly a supervisor. We're more thinking about a client generally here, which means you would have variance on basically the balance sheet and the income statement typically, and possibly other supplemental reports. Note that just looking at the variance of the balance sheet and the income statement, you can get a lot of reports that you can basically compile together, because you can have the standard balance sheet, the summary balance sheet, and now you can have comparative balance sheets and do different kind of comparisons with the comparative balance sheets. So you want to come up with a system if you're doing bookkeeping and you're reporting this information to external users in terms of how you're going to be getting this information together, how you want to present it. You want to make it readable and have a lot of information to say that you're putting stuff together, but not be basically overwhelming. We want to generate the reports. We want to give it to the clients in such a way that they're not annoyed by it. They can open the reports and get it in an easy way. So we're going to be printing these reports as a PDF file. We will zip the files. We'll also export them to Excel and then put them into their own PDF file with the QPDF printer, which is also another way that you can do it. So notice we formatted this one with a comparative balance sheet for the 2 months that we have. We got a change and we've got the percentage change. We put the little red marks around it and everything, made it look nice for external use. And then we're also going to be exporting that. So we're going to save it as a PDF and we're going to export it. We're then going to format it so it fits on 1 page wide. I won't go into that here, but that's what we'll do. And then we'll do the income statement. Notice here I've got January and February and then the total. This is one way you can see the income statement. You can also see the income statement as a difference between the two, a comparative type of income statement. So again, you got a lot of different options here, even with just a few months of data input in terms of what kind of reports you want to give. We're going to save that as a PDF. We're also going to export it to Excel. So we've got 2 tabs on Excel. We're going to use Excel then to create our one PDF file with all the reports on it. We'll look at the trial balance. This is usually an internal report, but I'm gonna present it this time as well, so that because that's going to be a key report for typically internal use, the balance sheet in essence on top of the income statement. I'll export that to Excel and save it as a PDF. And then we got the transaction list by date, also typically an internal report, but it's a great report to check your work with. It's a great report to review other people's work if you're trying to see what they have done as a time frame, if you're supervising someone or something like that. And it might be a report that you use for the billing process. You might be saying, hey, look, I'm billing people based on how many transactions have taken place. If you fall into this range, that's how we're going to generate the bill, and then possibly give this as evidence of that calculation, so that there's no like ambiguity with regards to, oh, well, how many hours did you work? Why did you work this many hours more than that many hours? It could be nice if you can get some other more concrete measure possibly, and then it'll make the billing process a little bit easier and make you hopefully. So that's one thing to consider. So you might give it to the client in that case, and it wouldn't just be an internal report. We're going to export it. We're going to do some formatting to this one because it's a really long or wide report. We want to get it on 1 page wide, so we're going to make it landscape. We're going to get rid of these double rows or columns that aren't needed and whatnot. Won't go into that now, but we'll do that. And then we're going to then create our items that we're going to give to the client, which we could give them one by one items in the reports, but it's probably better to zip it. So that would be a way to do it. We could give them the Excel document. That's not usually what you would give to an external client, but you could use that Excel document to then create your PDF file, which has all your reports on one PDF file, super fancy like, although the formatting, you can work on the formatting in Excel, and that's one way you could do it. So that is this report here, so that you can attach it and then give it to the clients in that way. Obviously, if you were to create these financial statements in like an Excel sheet or something like that, you would be building them from the trial balance. When you think about creating reports in QuickBooks, you basically do the data input and then you magically jump over to the income statement, the balance sheet, and then supporting reports. What actually happens in terms of the process of building them in the system is you enter data into the system. It makes journal entries. The journal entries then make the trial balance. So the trial balance, well, the journal entries go to the general ledger, and then the general ledger is going to create the trial balance. So this is really the building block that you think of before the balance sheet. And then the trial balance can be used to create the balance sheet, like the balance sheet, and then the income statement, and possibly a statement of equity, depending on how you're setting that up. So we can, it's useful to kind of construct this stuff from a trial balance to actually construct a balance sheet and an income statement and whatnot, because then you get a better idea of what the QuickBooks system is doing. And then, of course, the QuickBooks system, being a database program, has the capacity to do multiple variants of these reports, like a comparative balance sheet, a comparative income statement, because they can pull the same data and just mesh it around, in different ways and change the date ranges and whatnot, which is a lot more difficult to do in a spreadsheet type format. But if you look at it and see what's being built in terms of the standard financial statements from a spreadsheet and the way it's constructed, then you'll start to be able to visualize how all these reports are pulling in that same data and putting it together.